Global media and cultural imperialism. Yeah. First, commercialization. The economy becomes increasingly important, influencing not only culture and society function, but also the strategies of organization and institution. Next, media imperialism. One society media dominates another culture, exemplified by cable television influence on global understanding. Next, the cultural domination. The national culture are overwhelmed by imported by news, entertainment primarily from the United States and other industrialized nations. Next is the theoretical model of cultural globalization. Advanced countries dominate in the global economic system, with third world countries have a limited of development. Multinational corporations play a key role in this system, using similar techniques to produce and distribute goods. Global media cultures. This concept, studied by Emil Durkheim and Ulrich Beck, described as a shift in social organization. People are increasingly free from being integrated into fixed social groups like neighborhoods and institutions. They are also less bound by traditional beliefs, values, and norms. This leads to greater reliance on market conditions and societal and institutions like school, university, and healthcare system. This concept focus on the broader consequence of media and communication for everyday life and cross-social space. It encompasses process of change that are induced or related to change in the media landscape over time.
Theoretical models of cultural globalization. The theory of cultural imperialism. This theory argues that a core of advanced countries dominates the global economic system, while third world countries remain on the periphery of the system with little control over their economic and political development. Multinational or transnational corporations are key players in this system, using similar techniques to produce goods, control markets, and distribute products. Cultural imperialism is defined by powerful nations over weaker nations as kind of cultural domination. It is considered purposeful and intentional because it corresponds to U.S. political interests and other powerful capitalist societies. The effects of this type of cultural domination, reflecting the attitudes and values of Western societies, especially American capitalist societies, are seen as extremely pervasive and leading to the homogenization of global culture, as suggested by an Australian scholar comment. The process of Americanization becomes much more formidable when the fundamental concept of not of a society become more formidable. Critics have argued that the term imperialism, which can be seen as imposing power from rich to poor, from powerful to weak, implies a degree of political control by powerful countries that does not exist anymore. Cultural imperialism, conceptualized as media imperialism, remains as useful perspective despite its weaknesses, because it can be used to analyze the extent to which some national actors have more impact on global culture than others, and thus shape and reshape cultural values, identities, and perceptions. Due to the rapid expansion of the scope and influence of global cultures, these are important issues. Contrary to the theory of cultural imperialism, in which the source of cultural influence is Western civilization, which non-Western and less developed countries perceive as peripheral as the recipients of cultural influences. Cultural flows or network models offer an alternative view of the transmission process, as influence that do not necessarily originate in the same place, or of it is also possible that receivers are originators. Cultural globalization in this model corresponds to a network that does not have a clearly defined center or periphery. Thematic areas of cultural globalization. This is a research program which organizes around of a set of thematic areas of particular relevance to the process of cultural globalization. These thematic areas will each be taken up in one or more of the sub-projects and concern. 1. The experience of modernity in a global culture. The loosening of time and space from the bonds of locality and tradition is a key element in analyzing the experience of modernity as both a general form of mentality and a mode of aesthetic production. In the globalized reality of high modernity, the disassociation of cultural and social activity from local constraints has radical consequences. Nearly all those institutions that endured a modern structure of cultural and social experience during the 19th and 20th centuries, typically the local or national level, were either significantly influenced by globalization or were challenged. Number 2, socialization and the formation of cultural identity. The media have increasingly become an independent institution for socialization and the development of cultural identity. With a rapidly expanding international communication flow bringing media representations of foreign cultures into local cultural environments. Cultural metabolism's premises have changed and cultural reflexibility has increased at the individual level. Number 3, mediated communities and action. The media and the communication technologies in general have facilitated the formation of collective communities. They have also made possible communicative and social action across time and space. As part of globalization, we also see the formation of communities that are established almost exclusively through media cultures. This increased medialization of cultural communities has an impact on how interaction occurs in such communities. Interactions in particular take on a more abstract and symbolic character compared to impersonal interactions occurring in social situations. Number 4, democracy and political culture. A major consequence of globalization is the growth of multicultural societies, where people of different cultural backgrounds, ethnic, religious, etc., have to coexist together. Although individual cultural groups may maintain their language, culture, and tradition, the various groups in a multicultural society are forced to address their collective mutual problems in a common political public sphere. Globalization and global media in the 21st century. Today, the general proposition that globalization is a multidimensional process taking place simultaneously within the sphere of economy, politics, environment, the institutionalization of technologies and culture has received the support of many scholars, researchers, and the general public. In other words, the multidimensionality of globalization has drawn huge interest from scholars of various disciplines. In economics, Globalization refers to economic internationalization and the spread of capitalist market relations. In international relations, it focuses on the increasing density of interstate relations and development of global politics. In sociology, the concern is with increasing worldwide social densities and the emergence of world society. In cultural studies, the focus is on global communication and worldwide cultural standardization, as in Coca-Cola colonization and McDonaldization. In history, it deals with conceptualizing global history. Global media developed haltingly in the 19th century. Newspapers and periodicals have been written almost exclusively for domestic audiences to limit their export potential in combination with language issues. Newspapers remain the least integrated media industry in the global media system to this day. The coming of telegraph and underwater cables in the mid-19th century marked the drawing of the telecommunication age. Information could travel faster than people reliably for the first time. Increasingly, as global trade grew in importance, the rapid communication of world news via wars had great commercial value. International news agency based on the war were the first major news agency from global media. The French Havas, German Wolf, and British Reuters were commercial news agencies set up as domestic business in the 19th century. But with a special interest in foreign news, they produced news then sold it to the publishers of newspapers. Globalization of television. This aims to analyze different dimensions of the current process of internalization of television to investigate its impact on the cultural role of television. One of the questions is whether internalization leads to homogenization and commercialization of the television culture or whether it gives way to more diversity, thus stimulating cultural differentiation. Attention will be given to the communicative structure of television. In particular, its function as a meeting place for areas and genres otherwise separate, which allows diffusion between national and international culture. Television internalization is often regarded as a matter of program imports and is largely understood as a consequence of satellite broadcasting development. This, however, represents an overly narrow perspective because it underestimates the impact of the growing tendency among national broadcasters to adopt foreign program formats and new tendencies towards transnational cooperation between broadcasters, which also blur the boundaries between national and international. Global communication is the term used to describe ways in which geographical, political, economic, social, and cultural divisions can be connected, shared, related, and mobilized. It redefines soft and hard power as well as the power of information and diplomacy in ways that traditional international relation theories do not consider. Global communication involves transferring knowledge and ideas from power centers to peripheries and imposing a new intercultural hegemony through worldwide news, and entertainment soft power. Global communication study is an interdisciplinary field that studies the continuous flow of information used to transfer values, opinions, knowledge, cross-border culture. International or global. With the end of the 20th century and the turn of a new millennium, significant changes were taking place in the global arena and the field of international communication. Some authors have started using the term global communication as it goes beyond the boundaries of individual states and emphasizes cross-border communication between peoples, and most importantly, the rise of transnational media corporations. Traditionally, international communication refers to communication between nation states and connotes issues of national sovereignty, control of national information, resources, and national government supremacy. Nevertheless, earlier theories of international communication have failed to develop models or research agendas that match the reality of global communications contemporary role. The old theories explain the only part of the global picture, and the theories of modernization, dependency, and cultural imperialism have failed to explain globally. Due to military considerations, coupled with their economic and political implications, the study of global communication increased dramatically after World War II. Earlier theorizing attempts have failed to develop models or research agendas that match the reality of global communications' contemporary role. In the decade between 1945 and 1955, more global communication research was written. Most of the 1950s research dealt with propaganda and the Cold War. By 1970, global communication research had grown to include a wide variety of topics, particularly comparative system of mass communication, communication and national development, and propaganda and public opinion. From a global communication scholar's point of view, previous theories of modernization, dependency, and cultural imperialism have failed to explain global communication satisfactorily. The old theories explain only part of the global image.
Technological development. Numerous technical advances such as creating a new major global communication phenomenon, convergence, digital environments, and the internet are some of the major engines driving the shift from the international to global communication. Global power shift. The shadow of the Cold War has lifted with the collapse of Soviet Union to reveal shifting political, economic, and cultural alliance and conflicts within the rubric of international relations. The increasing importance of this current, particularly in the cultural sphere, demands a reconsideration of the nature of the international communication field. Theoretical approaches and perspective, transcultural political economy. Transcultural political economy is a concept presented by Paula Chakravarty and Yuzen Zizao in Global Communication. This concept focuses on global communication and media studies in three main areas: global information and culture flow, decentralization of the conceptual parameters of global information, and the media study and normative debates in global neoliberal communications. Transcultural political economy is a multidisciplinary study focusing on the tension between political economy and study of culture. Communication for Development, or known as C4D. Communication for Development is a practice-oriented aspect of global communication studies, approaching global development with a focus on social change, action, and participation through communication system.
And global media studies. Global media studies is a field of media study in a global scope. Media study deals with the content, history, and effect of media. Media study often draws theories and method from cultural studies And the next, global media empires. The largest media and media-related companies have a very high international profile. Global media empires like Disney, New Corporation, Time Warner. Diasporas are minority group that have a sense of connection with a larger community outside the borders they currently live in, creating a sense of a larger identity and communication. Whether imagine of real through diasporic media. And the next, technology and media. Media and technology advancement has played a key role in a globalization and global communication processes. And the last page naman po, justice. The justice is communication studies includes but is not limited to the concern for the process of democracy and then promotion of democratic public.